What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Ever wondered what happens when wrestlers flip the script? As you'll see, all sorts of things can happen. Some good, some bad, some funny, and some painful. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as we look at 7 times wrestlers went off script, some going into the business for themselves. Number 1. The Austin 316 promo. Steve Austin's 1996 King of the Ring celebratory promo is what many fans believe started his rise to the main event. Believe it or not, the promo featured 2 lines that reportedly were unscripted. The 2 lines that led to one of wrestling's most unforgettable promos. Austin twisted Jake the Snake Roberts' use of the biblical reference John 3:16 into the iconic Austin 3:16, which says "I just kicked your ass," and finished with his legendary send-off, and that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so. Austin went into business for himself and made wrestling history by going totally off script. Can you imagine the WWE letting someone pull this off now? Number 2. Daniel PUDER nearly breaks Kurt Angle's freaking arm. With Kurt Angle back in the WWE, fans may have forgotten about this incident from 2004 when the WWE ran its Tough Enough contest on SmackDown after 3 seasons on MTV. During one episode, Kurt Angle was tasked with hazing would-be WWE superstars. According to a 2004 report, after being tortured with calisthenics for part of the day, then thinking they were done and eating a big meal, the contestants were told that they had to do squat thrusts until physically sick in a bizarre contest. Angle told Chris Naroki he'd won the chance to wrestle him in a shoot, with Angle dispatching him quickly. When Angle asked anyone else if they wanted a shot, Daniel PUDER raised his hand. PUDER, who had experience as an MMA cage fighter, managed to lock Angle in a Chimera lock, and by all accounts, had Angle trapped. Angle leaned back and covered him, with the referee making a 3 count that was obviously a work. Angle then dressed down PUDER, telling him that this was an amateur bout and not a UFC fight. Ironically, Angle had used a neck crank, which is illegal in amateur wrestling, to beat Naroki and tried a guillotine on PUDER, another illegal move in amateur wrestling. PUDER ended up winning Tough Enough, but left the WWE after working in its developmental territory, Ohio Valley Wrestling. Number 3. Rick Steiner gets his comeuppance from Vordell Walker. The Steiner brothers were not known for only working stiff with opponents, but being downright jerks in the ring with enhancement talent, legitimately beating them down during matches. A young wrestler named Vordell Walker was teaming with Dustin Rhodes against Rick Steiner and Eric Stevens when things got weird. Rick Steiner was on the receiving end of some laser-guided karma when he decided to shoot on opponent Vordell Walker during an indie show. However, unbeknownst to Steiner, Walker was no jabroni and wrestled under the nickname The Shooter thanks to his extensive MMA background. Steiner started the match by legitimately kicking him in the face, busting him open. In an interview with Mike Mooneyham, Walker recalled, "I spit up some blood and I knew this guy was trying to really fight me. That's when I charged him and backed him up against the ropes, hooked him and got him in a takedown and started wrestling him. I wasn't really trying to pound this guy. I was just trying to get him to chill out. I got control of him numerous times and finally I got his back and started working the chokes in just to let him know that we could wrestle or continue to fight." The match ended with Dustin Rhodes covering Steiner for the pin, but the match was awkward, with Steiner never apologizing for going totally off script. Number 4. JBL and the Blue Meanie. John Bradshaw Layfield had little use for Extreme Championship Wrestling and its wrestlers, which is why few people were surprised when the notorious Bully took some liberties when he was involved in a brawl at the WWE's One Night Stand pay-per-view. The 2005 event saw JBL taking stiff shots on Brian Heffron, better known as the Blue Meanie, apparently in revenge for comments the Blue Meanie had made about his prior run in the WWE. The Blue Meanie appeared on the Talk Is Jericho podcast to explain the events leading up to the attack. "I did an interview when I left WWE. I said, I had a great time in WWE. I saw the world. I got paid to see the world on Vince McMahon's dime. I thanked WWE. I was like, the only thing is JBL was kind of an asshole. During my whole tenure there in the WWE from 98 to 2000, I didn't want to say like hazing but bullying. Whether it be shots in the match or we'd be on a plane and he's telling a story about some fat you know he's referencing you." This led to the infamous brawl between ECW originals and WWE superstars, a brawl that the Blue Meanie remembers well and has the scar to remind him. I felt this punch right on my scar, a recent injury from wrestling, and I went, what the hell? I turned around and there was JBL. He started throwing shots. He did the hockey thing, pulling my shirt over my face and began throwing live rounds. He had a fistful of rings, so I was like, I ain't gonna take this. So I snatched a headlock as much as I could on a 6'6" man and I started throwing punches back. We kinda got pulled apart. The Blue Meanie got his revenge by signing a short-term deal with the WWE and scoring a pinfall win over JBL on an episode of SmackDown. However, there was more physical payback in store for JBL at the hands of one Blue Meanie's ECW brothers. Number 5. Stevie Richards nearly decapitates JBL with a steel chair. JBL has earned a reputation as the locker room bully on more than one occasion, something we've just discussed. However, that doesn't mean wrestlers always put up with JBL's antics. First though, let's hear JBL's side of the story concerning the Blue Meanie incident. He told WWE.com, "Before the brawl at the end of the pay-per-view, Blue Meanie started cutting a shoot promo on me saying, I'm the reason he got fired and the only reason I got to where I am was because I sucked Vince McMahon's d***." I was incredulous. I thought there's no way he could really mean this. So I got to work with him at the end, and here we are trying to give the fans a great finish to the pay-per-view when we begin to lock horns in the melee. But he's basically not even acknowledging my presence. Now I might have caught him snug with a shot, but then he started throwing back heavy punches including a body shot, so make no mistake, I club him back to make sure he knows I'm not playing, and I think I got him with a shot over the eye, and one near the forehead and apparently opened him up a little. Backstage I asked him if he wanted to finish it right there and then. He told me it's all a show and that he didn't want to fight, and he pretty much ran off. Whomever you believe, the Blue Meanie's ECW brother Stevie Richards took a pound of flesh from JBL during the Blue Meanie vs JBL match on SmackDown. During the match, Richards hit JBL with a stiff chair shot to the face. JBL was busted open in what looks like a hard-way shot, hopefully reminding JBL what it feels like when someone gets into the business for themselves. Number 6. Brock Lesnar breaks Bob Holly's neck. Bob Holly earned a reputation as a stiff worker who wasn't afraid to make rookies earn their spot on the roster by enduring stiff shots in the ring. Holly met his match however when he crossed paths with newcomer Brock Lesnar in 2002. Holly was asked to put over the rookie wrestler, but by some accounts he decided to make Lesnar look bad, shifting his weight when Lesnar picked him up for a powerbomb. If so, Holly's efforts to make Lesnar look bad backfired and Holly landed hard on his neck, breaking it and missing 13 months of work. While this makes for an interesting story, Holly denies he tried to make Lesnar look bad and in his book The Hardcore Truth, explains what actually happened. When the time came for us to go home, we set up for the powerbomb, but when he lifted me up, our timing was off. I jumped at a different time than he lifted, so I didn't manage the rotation I needed in order to get on his shoulders. I tried to correct it, but we were both really sweaty. He tried to hold on to me, but he couldn't, and I ended up coming down on my neck. If you watch the footage, it looks like he drove me into the mat. Holly reiterated his story during an appearance on All Things Wrestling Radio podcast. Things happened and it just happened. The timing was off, and it wasn't malicious. It wasn't intended to happen, and Brock and I are good friends in and out of the ring. So we had a good working relationship. I enjoyed working with him. After it happened, he felt bad, and he called me after my surgery and he'd check on me periodically and see how I was doing. So for those people that think they know what happened, they don't. Although the thought of Holly trying to go into business for himself against Brock Lesnar makes for an entertaining story, it's an incredible one if you believe Holly's account. And number 7. The Andre Akira incident. On 26 May 1986, Andre was in Antonio Inoki's New Japan Pro Wrestling, working a match with Japanese tough man Akira Maeda. Standing 6'3" and trained by Carl Gotch, Akira had the skills to legitimately take out an opponent. While wrestling is a work, some believe Akira could have gone toe-to-toe with Andre for real, particularly since Andre's career was in its twilight. There are different theories on why things broke down during the match, with some pointing to Akira's disdain for WWE and American wrestlers, and some speculating Antonio Inoki wanted Andre to teach Akira a lesson. Either way, Andre appeared to be heavily intoxicated, and started no-selling Akira's attacks to the point of mocking him. Akira certainly didn't appreciate Andre's attitude and began kicking away at Andre's legs, eventually wearing them down and going further with leg takedowns. Andre then invited Akira to pin him, laying down on the mat and antagonizing AKIRA even more. Antonio Inoki ran down to ringside and tried to avoid any further embarrassment for his promotion. Nothing further happened, but the story entered wrestling legend as a famous what if of what might have happened if either man had gone further. But there you have it guys, 7 times wrestlers went off script, with some going into the business for themselves. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.